The morning of the wedding came like a dream. The air was cool and quiet, like it was hiding something. Grace woke up to the voices of women laughing in the compound, children running about, and distant music playing as the decorators arrived. Her room was full of people. Makeup artist, hairstylist, family members, bridesmaids. Everyone busy making her the most beautiful bride. But inside her, a silence was growing louder. She sat in front of the mirror, watching her reflection as the makeup artist gently brushed powder on her face. "You look like a princess," the artist smiled. Grace forced a smile. "Thank you." Her phone buzzed on the table. A text from Michael. "I can't wait to see you. I'm the luckiest man alive." She held the phone close to her chest and closed her eyes. "Today is the beginning of forever," she whispered to herself. Soon, her mother walked in, holding the garment bag that carried the wedding gown. "It's time," she said proudly. The moment the bag was unzipped, the atmosphere changed. The room felt colder, only for a few seconds, but enough for Grace to shiver. No one else seemed to notice. She stepped into the gown carefully as her bridesmaids helped her zip it up, adjust the waist, and fluff the skirt. As they worked, Grace suddenly felt dizzy, like her head was full of whispers. But when she looked around, no one was speaking. The veil was gently placed over her head. She looked at herself in the mirror, and then she heard it, a clear whisper, not from outside, but from inside. "He left me at the altar, but I never left this dress." Grace froze. Her hand touched her chest. "Are you okay?" her mother asked. "I'm fine," she said quickly. "Just nerves." The room burst into happy chatter again, unaware of what she had just heard. At the church, everyone was already seated. The choir was humming softly. Flowers lined the walls. Michael stood at the altar in his black suit, holding his hands together tightly, trying to hide his nerves. Then the music changed. The church doors opened, and Grace appeared, standing tall and glowing, her father beside her. People gasped in awe. Phones came out. Cameras flashed. Some aunties whispered, "She looks like an angel." Grace began walking slowly, one step after another. The gown, which had felt perfect before, suddenly became heavy. Her legs felt weak. The whispers returned. "You are walking into my pain." She blinked quickly and held her father's arm tighter. Halfway down the aisle, she looked up and saw someone standing in the corner of the church. A woman, wearing a wedding dress, but not glowing, not smiling. The gown was torn and bloody. The veil hung like a ghost's curtain. Her face was pale. Her eyes were black holes, and she was looking directly at Grace. Grace's steps faltered. "Are you all right?" her father asked. Grace nodded. "Yes, yes." The figure vanished. She kept walking. At the altar, Michael took her hand. "You look like a dream," he whispered. Grace didn't smile. She just nodded slowly, trying to stay calm. The priest began the ceremony, but Grace heard nothing, because the voice returned, deeper now, clearer. "He lied to me too. He promised me love, then left me bleeding in this same dress." A cold wind blew through the church, even though the windows were closed. One candle at the altar flickered, then went out. Everyone noticed. The priest paused, confused. Michael looked around. Grace's heart raced. Then she turned slightly and saw her again, the ghost bride, closer now, smiling, whispering, "You wore my pain." Grace stood at the altar, holding Michael's hand. She tried to focus on the priest's voice, but everything around her began to feel distant. The faces of the crowd became blurry, like they were behind glass. Her legs trembled. Her breathing became shallow. Michael whispered again, "Grace, are you okay?" She didn't answer. The priest said, "If anyone has a reason why these two should not be joined." Suddenly, Grace's eyes rolled back. She dropped the bouquet and collapsed right in front of everyone. The entire church rose with shock. People screamed. Her mother rushed forward. Michael bent beside her, calling her name over and over. "Grace! Grace!" The priest stepped back in fear. Her father knelt beside her, placing his hand on her forehead. "She's burning up," someone shouted. "Call a doctor. Call someone." Then her body jerked. Once. Twice. Her eyes flew open. But they weren't her eyes anymore. They were wide, wild, confused. Like someone else had entered her body. She looked around the church and began to scream. Loud. Scary. Not normal. "Take it off. Take this thing off me. It's burning me." She tried tearing the wedding dress from her body. The fabric ripped. Her hair scattered. She rolled on the floor and laughed. A terrible, painful laugh. "Who brought me back here?" Everyone froze. Michael was crying now, holding her. "Grace, baby, it's me, Michael. Look at me. It's okay." She looked into his eyes and whispered, "You will leave me too." Then she grabbed his face and slapped him hard. Gasps filled the church. She pushed him away and crawled toward the exit like a mad woman. She was weeping, laughing, shouting strange names, and talking to people only she could see. Some tried to stop her. She bit one of the ushers. She tore her veil off, threw her heels, and ran barefoot out of the church. Her father followed her, shouting, "Grace, Grace, come back." But she was gone. Gone into the street, still in the torn wedding dress, screaming. They found her hours later at a public roundabout, climbing a statue and crying that her groom had left her at the altar. She was sweating, dirty, bruised. Her makeup had washed away in her tears. She didn't recognize anyone. Not her parents. Not Michael. Not her siblings. Her mother fainted when she saw her. The dress was still on her, half burnt, torn, stained with blood from where her nails had scratched her own skin. That night, she was taken to a private clinic. The doctor whispered to her father, "She needs more than medicine. This is spiritual." Her father nodded slowly, tears in his eyes. The next morning, Grace was moved to a prayer house, where she screamed all night, her voice echoing like it came from two people at once. Michael sat outside, broken and speechless. He kept replaying that moment, how she looked at him and whispered, "You will leave me too." He didn't understand it, but deep down, something told him this was not ordinary madness. And whatever had taken over Grace came from that dress. For 3 days, Grace remained locked in the small room of the prayer house. She no longer screamed like before, but she was not calm either. Her eyes stayed wide open. Her lips moved silently, like she was talking to someone no one else could see. At night, her voice would suddenly rise. "She's here. I told her not to wear it. I told her." Everyone in the prayer house was afraid of her. Even the prophet, a powerful man known across ABA, refused to enter her room alone. Michael came every day. He would sit outside, waiting, hoping, praying. He hadn't eaten properly since that terrible wedding day. His parents begged him to move on. But he said no. "I won't leave her. I must find out what did this to Grace." One afternoon, as he sat with Grace's elder brother, Chuka, a thought crossed his mind. "Where exactly did Grace rent that dress from?" Michael asked. Chuka frowned. "One boutique in town. Grace said it was very expensive, but the owner gave her a huge discount. Something about it being a special gown." Michael stood. "Take me there." The boutique was quiet when they arrived. Inside, beautiful gowns and laces lined the walls. A soft perfume filled the air. The owner, a woman, welcomed them with a cold smile. "Welcome, sirs. How may I help you?" Michael didn't smile. "We want to ask about a gown. A wedding dress." She paused. "Which gown?" "The one Grace Amati wore last week." Her face changed for a second, just 1 second. Her eyes blinked too fast. Then she smiled again. "Ah yes, that beautiful gown. The gold-laced one. I remember." Chuka asked, "Did you know something was wrong with the dress?" The woman frowned. "Why would you say that?" Michael stepped forward. "She's been mad since she wore it. She collapsed on the altar. She sees things, talks to spirits. Everyone knows this is not ordinary. That dress did something to her." The woman was silent. Michael asked again. Who brought that dress to your shop? Where did it come from? The woman sighed deeply. Then she whispered, it was returned by someone whose bride died in it. Years ago. Chuka stepped back. What? She nodded slowly. They came in the middle of the night. A man and his mother. He said they didn't want to keep it. He begged me to take it and rent it out to someone else. He said it would be better than burning it. That way, the pain would leave him. Michael was shaking now. You rented that kind of gown to Grace? Why? She looked down. Because I didn't believe the story, and I didn't want it lying in my shop for years. So, when Grace came and asked for something special, I gave it to her. Michael whispered. You could have warned her. I didn't know. I swear. That evening, Michael returned to the prayer house. He stood by the small window and looked at Grace. She was sitting on the floor, rocking herself, whispering. Suddenly, she looked up and saw him. Her eyes widened. Michael, she whispered. He stepped closer. She began to cry, real tears. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't know the gown belonged to another bride. Michael froze. What did you say? Grace stared at him. She told me. She's the one that talks to me. She died in the gown. And she's not resting, she said. She wants to wear it again. Michael backed away from the window. What do you mean? Grace held her head. She said, I must finish the wedding. For her. And then she laughed again. A deep, heavy laugh. That night, Grace's mother called Michael with shaking hands. Please, I think she wants to wear that dress again. She keeps pointing at the corner and asking us to bring it back. Michael's heart sank. The prophet walked in. I've prayed, he said, but this is not prayer alone. There is a spirit tied to that gown. If she wears it again, she might not return. Michael knew what had to be done. He had to find the family who returned the gown. He had to learn what happened to the original bride. Before Grace became the next one. Buried in white, Michael was determined to save Grace. He couldn't just watch her waste away. He had heard it with his own ears. A spirit wanted Grace to wear that cursed dress again. But he knew now, the spirit was not done with her. Early the next morning, he and Chuka began searching for the man who returned the gown to the boutique. After asking around, chasing false names and broken addresses, they finally found an old woman who told them the truth. I remember the family, she said. They lived around Umula Road. But after the girl died on her wedding day, they moved away in shame. What happened to her? Michael asked. The old woman looked around, then leaned closer. They said she was pushed down the hotel stairs by her best friend. All over a man. She died before she said, I do. Her body was buried in that gown. But her mother begged for the dress to be taken off before the casket was sealed. She didn't want her daughter buried with pain. She wanted her to rest. Michael shivered. And she never rested, the old woman whispered. That evening, the prophet called for a special midnight prayer. The whole family was there. Grace was singing and laughing like someone in another world. The prophet stood over her and raised his hand. Tonight, he said, we will break the bond. But as soon as the prayer started, Grace began to fight. I must wear it, she screamed. She said it's not finished. Let me go. Suddenly, she stopped struggling and began to cry. I didn't mean to wear her dress, she sobbed. I didn't know. Please forgive me. And then she slumped, cold. Still, everyone held their breath. The prophet quickly bent over her. He shouted in tongues. He commanded the spirit to leave. After almost 10 minutes of warfare, Grace suddenly gasped and opened her eyes. She looked around, weak and confused. Where am I? She asked softly. Everyone burst into tears. She was free. 3 months passed. Grace recovered slowly. The dress was burnt completely, with fire and prayer. And not long after, Michael came to see her. This time, there was no makeup, no fancy talk. Just love. Grace, he said gently, will you still marry me? She looked at him and smiled. I never stopped loving you. This time, they planned the wedding differently. No hired gowns. No rushing. No show. Only family, close friends, and prayers. The church was filled with joy on the new wedding day. Grace wore a beautiful but simple gown, one her mother and aunties made by hand. Michael stood proud, his eyes never leaving her. As she walked down the aisle, there was peace. No shadows. No whispers. Just joy. They were joined as husband and wife. And for the first time in a long while, Grace slept with both eyes closed. Final words to all brides and grooms. When you are about to marry, pray. Not everything that looks beautiful is from God. Seek God before you seek luxury. Ask questions. Avoid desperation. And no matter how beautiful a dress, ring, venue, or partner may be, if God is not there, don't step in. Let love begin with God. And may your home be filled with peace.